We love the Seattle Kraken here. If this is your first time listening to the show, we love the Seattle Kraken. And you know what, Cap? I'm going to kick things off today because I remember that you did it first last week. So I'm going to take the role here first. So as we know, our Seattle Kraken got into the playoffs last year, and they defeated the defending Stanley Cup champions in the first round in 7 games. Nobody expected them to be in the playoffs. Nobody expected them to put a whooping on the Colorado Avalanche, but they did. They certainly did. And what I have for you, Captain, your first question as a would you rather, let's just assume that in both scenarios, the same outcome is going to happen. The Kraken are going to get to the second round, but they're going to lose. Okay? So in both scenarios, that's going to happen again. So would you rather the Seattle Kraken have a monstrous regular season? They are whooping up everybody in the Pacific. They win the division. They're kicking butt and taking names, but they get to the second round and then they just get stomped on and they get ousted. Okay. Or would you rather have the Kraken struggle all season, have just not a terrible season, but like, man, this has been a struggle. You know, maybe they are, let's say you win 4, but then you lose 3. You win 3, but then you lose 4. That type of season where just grinding all season, but you make it in and you still get to the second round and you lose in 7 games.
Oh man.
What would you rather have as the Seattle Kraken manager, general manager?
So what it boils down to is, do you want to get stomped in the second round, or do you want it to be a close one in the second round, right? Because I mean, we're talking regular season playoffs. Getting into the playoffs is the goal.
Always.
Taking that next step to look better during the regular season is nice, right? But they pushed Dallas Stars to 7 games last season in the second round. And again, they didn't win the cup. And if Vegas wasn't, sneaky, the best team in hockey, Dallas is like right behind that probably, right? So, and Seattle pushed them to the limit, to the brink. It could have gone either way. I hate to say it because I don't want to see the boys struggle, but I think I'd rather struggle all season and play well in the second round than take the stomping, because that feels like a step back. They have playoff, they've been there now. They've seen it. So getting stomped like that feels like a step back that I'm not willing to take. Oof. Final answer, I guess.
Yeah. Again, this is kind of like last week. I agree with everything that you're saying, but just to be contrarian, I'm going to disagree with you, and I'll tell you why. I would rather they go out and they have a monstrous season and they whoop on everybody. They win the division. They're going to get they get through the first round. They get to the second round and they got stomped. So yeah, that stinks, and it does seem like a step backward. But I feel like having a season like last season, where they got in and nobody expected them to be there, they went around, they pushed Dallas to 7, right? And like you just said, had Dallas not had to face Vegas, good chance they would have been in the Stanley Cup, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this year, go in, stomp everybody. Yeah, you got ousted, but I feel like then going into the next season, there's so much confidence built in this squad that you've had a year where nobody expected you to be there. All of a sudden, you are like the best team on the ice. And yeah, you got your teeth kicked in. So you're the best team on the ice, and you kind of got a little ahead of yourself maybe. You got your teeth kicked in. Now you can come back and be somewhere in the middle, a hybrid of those two squads, where now you are a fully put together squad. You've had 2 back-to-back successful playoff years, and now you can actually find your winning ways moving forward from there. So I'm going to go with the first. Kicking butt all year, you get stomped in the playoffs. Yeah, that sucks, but you're going to find in the next season somewhere in the middle to continue winning for the Seattle Kraken.
Yeah, and maybe that means they can take the step next year. You just hope the next step is this year if you're the Kraken. Second year.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why, I mean, really, yeah, truly, I am agreeing with you, but just for good conversation, I'm giving that opposite. I don't want to see the boys get stomped at all. Like, that would be super heartbreaking to me, who's just a fan, obviously not even a player, but that would be heartbreaking to me.
So let's get into some nitty gritty. This is, we love to bring up the numbers because it's interesting. And this is very much a place I go, but it's a question mark, right? So top point getter for your Seattle Kraken, 70 points, Jared McCann, 40 goals, 30 assists in 79 games. And I'm doing top 5 here. Vince Dunn comes in next, 81 games played, 14 goals, 50 assists for 64 points. Jordan Eberle, 82 games, 20 goals, 43 assists, 63 points. Matty Beniers, 80 games played, 24 goals, 33 assists for 57 points. Yanni Gourde is your number 5, 81 games played, 14 goals, 34 assists, 48 points. So not exactly killing it on the points. 70 is not bad, right? But you look at 70, 64, 63, 57, 48. They were more of a spread it out squad.
They were. Yep.
If you go to the next, it's 46, 45, 40, 39. So a lot of people up in the 30-point range, which is good, right? So let's do the simple one. Let's go with Beniers, 57 points. Like this kid's poised to lead the squad, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say.
So let's last year it was Jared McCann at 70. Matty Beniers over or under 70 points. He had 57 last year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking the over on that. It might be a little bit of my fan bias, but I mean, this kid, like, just going back to playoffs from last year, I think that's a huge step for a rookie to have that experience. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? To get in the play, have a playoff run in your. I mean, truly, he played 10 games in 21-22, but truly an actual rookie season playing 80 games, and you also get playoff experience. Mm-hmm. I think it's only onwards and upwards for this kid. I'm going to say over. I'm going to say 88 points.
Look at you go. You love to see it.
I think he's going to settle into this squad now. Now that he knows his place and he's had some experience. And now, I mean, again, there's other guys that have more, let's call it tenure on the squad, even though the squad's still pretty young. But he's going to solidify his place on the Kraken this year. I think he's going to be the franchise guy moving forward for the Kraken. I would stamp on that. So I think he's going to show up this year. I'm making it a big old forward with 88.
To your point, he played all 14 playoff games, 3 goals, 4 assists, 7 points. He was 7th leading on the club. So I mean, he didn't kill it, but he also wasn't not there. Like he was very much involved.
I mean,
he was a +6 as well.
That's more than another guy we're going to talk about later today, who makes $13.25 million.
So I'm with you. I'm going with the over. I don't think I want to be as generous. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it, as somebody once said. But I think I'll take a couple points down. Actually, I'll go a firm 10 below 78. So he's over, but just barely. 78 That's points right. for Matty Beniers.
Okay. All right. I like it. I like it a lot. All right, Justin. Well, this is normally you, but I'm going to take a goalie question here.
Well, this is a good one, right?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's going to be a good one. Okay, so we have let's talk about Philip Grubauer. We can kind of call a spade. He kind of struggled in the regular season to find his footing. I mean, he figured it out and obviously got the squad to the playoffs, but 17, 14, and 4. That's not great. He also he only played 39 games. He did have a couple injuries throughout the season because really the backup, I'm drawing a blank right now because I had him on my fantasy team. You know who I'm talking about.
Martin Jones, yeah.
There you go. Yeah, Martin Jones was taking a lot of it. But anyway, Grubauer showed up to like the Grubauer of old in the playoffs, and that's definitely one huge reason why the Kraken got to the second round. So now we know that Martin Jones is no longer on the squad. It looks like Chris Driedger is going to be the backup. So we would assume that Philip Grubauer is going to be the 1A goaltender, let's say, and hope for a healthy season from Grubauer. So over or under, Justin, I'm sorry, let me preface this. The season before, he started 55 games, okay?
Oh, wow.
So last season, he only started 39 games, okay? Again, injuries and whatnot. So over or under, Justin, 57 games for Philip Grubauer this year.
Ooh. Okay, so to your point, Martin Jones took 48 of those last year, and again, some of that is injury because Gruby got hurt.
Yep.
Joey Decord got 5. So, and then some of that is just because Martin Jones got hot. He was hot there for a minute. 27, 13, and 3. Joe, he did really well.
I think I'd have to I forget where he landed for this season, but I think he won like 8 or 9 in a row. So he was on a streak.
He was on a tear. Driedger was he down in
Driedger? So
Coachella?
Driedger got hurt also,
That's
but
right.
then he was playing for the Thunderbirds.
Yeah,
and he ended up going on the Thunderbirds run in the Calder Cup playoffs.
Yeah.
But initially he was hurt for the beginning of the season, and then he was just down in the AHL there.
Okay, so I think it's safe to say that Gruby is going to pick up most of Martin Jones' abandoned starts. You know, I don't think Driedger's gonna be looking more like Decord than it. I don't think it's gonna be a split season. So, what was the line? 57 over or under?
Yep, I said two more than the previous season as the base.
I'm gonna go. 57's a lot.
It is.
57's a lot. But I'm going to hammer the over, or I'm not going to hammer the over. I'm going to take the over. I'm going to go 59. That's a workload for the guy, but I don't see him because man, my gut is saying 55, but I don't see Driedger taking too many of those starts. So it's got to be Gruby's net, and I think they're going to ride him hard this year. So I'm going to go over. I'm going to go 59.
I think that's fair. I feel like he earned it in that playoff run. But I also, with that said, I don't think it's a short leash, but I do think he does have a leash where, hey man, it's your net as long as you continue to do what you do. But just know that if you falter, we're going to give the kid a try. And also they have 2 kids, Driedger and Decord. So those guys, I feel like, are probably not going to be switching a lot as far as being called up, called down to the AHL. But I do feel like Decord and Driedger are both going to get a handful of starts at least this season, no matter what. So I'm actually going to go with the under 57, and I'm going to say 54 for Gruby, because I think those remaining games are going to get split between Decord and Driedger, because I still think you're going to the way that the Kraken club seems to go, right, building the future, and they've done a great job of that, and we've talked about that before on this show. I still think they're going to give those guys chances to perform and chances to get better at the NHL level, knowing that at some point in the next 3 to 5 seasons, they might be the guy. So I'm going to go with the under for Gruby at, 54.
54. And just a couple points here to nail home kind of what we're talking about here. The game started last year, 42 for Jones, 39 for Gruby, 4 for DeCord. And then to really nail your point home on him earning it, he played all 14 of their playoff games last season. So 14 games played, 14 games started, a .903 save percentage, 2.99 goals against. So, no slouch.
To interrupt you, I apologize. I really do. I don't like interrupting, but I don't want to forget my thought. Again, 14 games, those were essentially like all in a row because they did that. Yeah. They finished game 7 with Colorado. They had one day off, and then they went into that series with Dallas. So, that's amazing.
That is. So
that's unheard. That's kind of unheard of. So
indeed. All right.
I made you lose your thought. I apologize for that.
No, it's all right. No, I was done with that thought. I was starting to think about, where did I want to go with my over under?
Okay.
Wait, no, my would you rather. Well, it seems here. Let me bring up my guy's numbers here. Eli Tolvanen played 48 games after signing with Seattle, 16 goals, 11 assists, 27 points. Again, this is a dude who, he was a hit guy. That's why he was on my radar. Like he was getting hits in Nashville. He goes over and immediately is getting points. He also had a +10, Joe. So, would you rather he continues his Tolvanen continues the upward trend? He had 27, so let's double him up for a full season, 54 points. Would you rather him double up 54 points for our guy, or there's no hits? I don't know how many hits he has. Or would you rather him return to form on Nashville and he becomes, a menace out on the ice with hits? I wish I had a number to back that up.
No, that's okay. I understand what you're saying. And it actually is a really tough scenario because, other than Big Rig, there isn't a lot of physicality on the Kraken squad.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said that before when we were talking about the playoffs on this show, that they needed to be more physical. And not that they aren't being physical out there on the ice, they are, but they could use a guy that is kind of a bruiser,
Mm-hmm.
I hate that the NHL is not hate, but that's always been a staple in the NHL. And I feel like you have to have that guy on your team. And I don't like that the game is moving so far to just being speed and, essentially whoever scores last is going to win type of a game. It's exciting. Yeah, but I don't really like that. I like the bruising defensive factor of hockey too. So all to that said, I like that Tolvanen came over and all of a sudden oh my gosh, this guy can score. This guy can be a playmaker. So I think that would be great for the squad because as we talked about in your first question it was the depth was spread across the whole team. And again, to their props, they did that in the playoffs, and that's why they got so far. And as I've been rambling, I've been thinking about my answer. It's really tough to say, but I feel like if he could go to the more of that bruiser for the squad, and then Big Rig doesn't have to kind of do all of that heavy lifting, if you will, I think could pay dividends for the squad to open up other avenues for other guys to score, to open up an avenue for Beniers to dish it over to McCann or vice versa, or an opening for Yanni Gourde to go coast to coast. You know what I mean? I feel like having that guy could pay huge dividends for the squad. So I'm going to go with kind of going to more of a hits guy and, bruising up other people. but I don't really like it, truly. I mean, I do like the depth spread across, but I'm going to go with the former, being a bruiser.
I'm going to agree with you. I think him being a menace on the ice really opened, like, they have, again, I read out the top 10, right? But then I didn't even get to ghost, Schultz. Oh, he's a defenseman. Larson, like, these are offensive minded defensemen. Geeky. I mean, I think it opens up so much more for this young club to do more things. So, and like you said, it takes it off of Big Rig. Like, he doesn't have to be the only one out there kind of being the punisher on the ice. So
yeah,
I'd like to see him do it.
And like, I don't necessarily want just total goons out on the ice like it used to be, like when I was growing up. I don't necessarily want the game to go back to that, but I want to see that team still have a guy that can get under your skin, that can throw the hits, because those are exciting to watch too, and exciting to watch on TV or when you're live. Like, to see and also hear a big hit is like, oh, like that's a momentum shift. You need those guys. Think of a guy, and also with that role, like, you're getting underneath the other team's skin too, to try and draw penalties, i.e. your Brad Marchands, your Matty Kachucks, like your Milan Lucic, like, those guys are there to draw penalties too. And yeah, they take their fair amount of penalties, but like, you get underneath the other team's skin, like, you're getting inside their head, all that. It's the mind game too. So I feel like you need at least one of those guys on your squad. So I don't think a regression in points for Eli Tolvanen, if it's a moving forward of, being that guy. I don't think that's a bad thing at all.
Again, small things. It's all got to get done. So,
yep, little things. Also, to a point, Geeky isn't on the squad anymore. He went to Boston.
No, I knew that. I just forgot.
That's okay. I just want anybody listening, they might be like, ooh. So I got you. We're looking at last year's stats, okay? This year hasn't started yet. It will be in a couple weeks, though. Okay, I think that wraps up our boys. You got anything else for the Kraken there, Cap?
Nah, just I'm excited, man. I'm so excited that they've done what they've done. But do you want to get to somebody that everybody probably is forgetting about?
Yeah, I don't even really know who you're talking about because I've forgotten about them so much. Oh, the Blues, right? St. Louis Blues, right? Well, hey, at least we get to talk about Corey's boy, Hollywood Kevin Hayes, because he got traded to the St. Louis Blues. He's going to be a real change around there in St. Louis, isn't he?
Oh, sure.
Oh, sure. Listen, we talked about it recently that the Blues seem to be on the descent in the league, which I was a Blues fan growing up because Brett Hull and Brett Hull lived in my hometown, so I was a Blues fan. Of course, I talked about it, Grant Fuhr. But anyway, I'm going to leave the goalie question to you if you want it, Justin. I'm going to give you this one. So, a couple young guys on the St. Louis Blues squad, which it's a great thing because they do have a couple of young guys: Jordan Kyrou, Jacob Vrana. Even Nathan Walker's pretty young too. These guys are essentially the few. Oh, Rob Thomas, not Matchbox 20. He's not closing down at 3 a.m. But big old Oscar Sundqvist I think he's from Russia. Anyway, they have a lot of young guys. So there is some promise to this squad. What I want to ask you, Justin, I'm going to preface this with, like I said, I mentioned Jordan Kyrou. So I've had him in fantasy the last couple of years. He is a goal scorer. So last year he scored 37 goals, 36 assists for 73 points. The year prior, 27 goals, 48 assists, 75 points. So he's had 2 years in a row where he really blew up the league. And really, truly, the season before that, in the shortened COVID season, 14 goals, 21 assists, 35 points. So he was on track to probably get at least 70 again.
Yeah.
Let's just say he was probably going to get 70, right, with those numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 seasons in a row of, averaging 70 points, okay? So would you rather – or I'm sorry, I need to preface another thing. My bad. Hold on. Okay, so that's Jordan Kyrou. The other guy I want to give you, Jacob Vrana, he came over from Detroit by way of Washington over the last couple seasons. He, I want to say it was a broken collarbone. He had a couple of shoulder injuries though, so he's had a couple shortened seasons. Only played 20 games for the Blues last year and 5 games for the Wings. He got traded, so 25 games total last season. Not much of a stat line there. So overall, he scored 11 goals, 5 assists, 16 points in 25 games. Okay. The season before that, he only played 26 games, 13 goals, 6 assists, 19 points. And the season before that, I'm giving you this because shortened season, and then 11 games, 8 goals, 3 assists, 11 points. So he hasn't had very much production, right?
Mm-hmm.
With his time with the Wings or the Blues. You still with me on these numbers?
Yeah.
Okay. But in his biggest season of 69 games with the Capitals, he scored 25 goals, 27 assists, 52 points. So he is capable of getting 50 points, okay? With me?
Yeah.
So would you rather have Jordan Kyrou have a regular season for Jordan Kyrou? He's probably going to score you between 75 and 80 points, right? That's your guy. So would you rather have that again for another season, or would you rather Jacob Vrana finally play a full season healthy and score you 55 points?
Well, I have to make a lot of assumptions because
before you even say that, let me give you some numbers because I know you're a contract guy.
Okay.
So, this season, Jordan Kyrou will make $8.125 million. Jacob Vrana will make $2.625 million, and then he will be an unrestricted free agent.
Oh, okay.
Where Kyrou is locked up until 28-29.
Okay, that does answer the question for me. Whether I'm right or wrong, it does answer the question for me. Because really, if Vrana has a season like that, that really probably just makes him trade bait on this club. Whereas Kyrou's the guy, and I'm paying him as such. I guess I'd rather get what I'm gonna get. You know what I mean? From Kyrou. I'd rather have that 75 to 80 point season from him than because there's not, hint Joe, there's not going to be much for St. Louis this year. So yeah.
I don't know.
I think give me Kyrou over Vrana.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get what you're saying for sure. I'm going to disagree with you for talking points. This goes back. I forget what were we just talking about? What teams were we talking about? Last week when we were talking about the Penguins, when we were talking about if we wanted to have Crosby and Malkin do what they normally do or have a breakout season from Karlsson again. And we went with the give me, what you expect to have Crosby and Malkin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, I would rather have Vrana have a full healthy season and give me 55 points, his best season that he's had in his career, because like you said, trade bait. So you could get potentially more assets if you're going to deal him off.
Yeah.
Or maybe you spend the money and you're going to re-sign him, give him a good contract to re-sign him and keep him on the squad, this young squad. I mean, right now their cap, they don't have any money in their cap, but that could be I haven't looked through all the contracts that are being expiring. But anyway, point being, I'm going to go with Vrana having a big season because Kyra's going to have a good season. I feel like that's a given at this point. So I would rather see Vrana break out for the potential future assets that we could get for him, and or if we have the money to potentially sign him and keep him on this squad, because we're hurting as the St. Louis Blues. We are, from being a Stanley Cup champion in the last 5 years to being what they are now.
Yeah.
We need some guys. And Vrana's a young cat. He's had some injury troubles, but he's still a young kid. He's in his early 20s. So I want that big season from Vrana.
Yeah, Vrana, 26 years old. Well, I guess 27 going into this season.
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't even hit his prime yet. I mean, I guess technically he's in his prime years right now, like 20. I don't know. I mean, that's a whole other conversation, but he's in his years right now. So I would love to see him have a great season.
All right. So you left me the goalie question.
I knew you really wanted it. So,
well, I mean, looking at it again, man.
Plus, you're Benner's biggest fan. So,
yeah, clearly. The Benner last year, Joe, 61 games played, 60 games started, 27, 27, and 6. And Thomas Greiss, 21 games played, 16 games started, 7-10 and 0 record. Joel Hofer, 6 games played, 6 games started, 3-1 and 1 record. But what I want to get to here is 89.5 save percentage for the club for all 3 goalies, and 3.36 goals against for them as a unit. Not great. So what I want to ask, Joe, over or under 3 goals against this season for the goalies as a unit for St. Louis Blues?
Well,
I guess let me give you a little bit more clarity too.
Sure.
Benner specifically save percentage 89.4 and 3.31 goals against.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, just look at the numbers. Like, from the guy that he was on that Stanley Cup winning squad, that was a fluke basically, because he's never had those numbers again. He's never been that good again. He's never been that good in general. He's just been decent at best. Actually, don't take a drink because I didn't say the other word. Like, that season was just everything aligned, right? But he hasn't gone back to form. So is he that guy? No, he's probably more along the lines of this guy. Not to mention a terrible temper, little man syndrome. So I'm looking at their blue line, and Justin Falk, Torrey Krug, Colton Parayko, Nick Leddy, like those top 4. I mean, those are veteran defensemen. So, and then you add in Scandella and Bertuzzo. So your top 6 on the D. Like, those are pretty solid. That's a pretty solid D line. You got a couple defensive defensemen and a couple offensive defensemen. So I really don't think it's the blue line. It really comes down to between the pipes. And if Binnington is still your guy, I think you're just going to continue to have more problems, truly. He's a hothead for no reason. He's going to, like we talked about with the getting under people's skin and stuff. Yeah, cool, but you're the goalie and the other guys have to step up for you, bud. So, like, pick your battles, not every single game. Anyway, that's a whole long rant. I'm going to go, what'd you say, 3 what?
3 even.
Okay. I'm going to go over and say 3.5.
There we go. We're going to get worse. I actually agree. I don't,
because he's, like I said, what we saw towards the end of the season there, he was literally trying to start a fight every single game those last 15 games.
Yeah.
Like, it was insane. Like, what are you doing? Honestly, your team sucks. You're not going to make the playoffs. At the very least, play for some pride and stop the puck. Don't worry about trying to punch somebody in the face with your blocker, dude.
Yeah. he's just. I'm not a fan of the Binner. I think it's safe to say. Like the moment last year that endeared me to Flower forever is Flower skating out to try to meet and fight Binner.
And they wouldn't let him.
Yeah.
And the mic'd up was hilarious too. He's like, "You want to go? Do you want to go? Oh, come on, let him go!" Like, you know, in his French Canadian accent. Like, I love that guy. I love.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
But that's what I'm looking forward to, is because it is going to happen. Somebody will punch him in the face, and he is going to drop like so quickly, and then we can all laugh at him being a small little man with little man syndrome.
There we go.
Come at me, bro. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's mine. Okay. Yep. So your over-under, Justin, is pretty simple, I think. The Blues in the entire league finished last year towards the bottom of the barrel. They had where's the points here? Sorry. Phone and stuff. Okay. So the St. Louis Blues finished with 81 points, which left him on the bottom half of the league, 6, 8, 10. So literally 22nd in the league. Okay. That was 37 wins, 38 losses, 7 overtime losses. So technically 40, what's that math? 43, 37 and 43. I think that's the right math. You're making me math live on air. Don't judge me. So less than 500. So over under, Justin. It's kind of a sort of a two-parter, but so over under 40 wins, 525 percentage. You know what I'm saying? Like between wins and losses. Does that make sense? So 40 wins, 525 win-loss.
I'm going to make this super easy. Under. Under. This club is not very good. No. We talked about Binner. Like, that's just the start of their problems. They have a good blue line. They've got guys, good young cats in offensive positions.
I'll give them that. I've already talked them up. Like, they have that for sure, but it's between the pipes.
Right. I don't think their netminders can keep them in games.
Here's another stat for you, Justin. You know, a lot of the times some teams are a better road team. Some teams are usually a better home team or whatever. The Blues were neither. They weren't good at home, and they weren't good on the road. They were 18, 17, and 6 at home, so a losing record. And on the road, 19, 21, and 1. Losing record. I mean, obviously they were under 500, so I mean that tracks. But you weren't even close to being good even at home. So, what are we doing?
Just to kind of hammer home the point that we were making. Last season, 263 goals for. They were right in the middle, 16th out of 32. Goals against, 301, 27th of 32. So
it's terrible.
It's net minding.
And they didn't get any better this offseason.
Nope. As a matter of fact, probably worse. So
probably worse. You spent money on Kevin Hayes. You spent money on Kevin Hayes. Are you kidding me?
There you go.
Wow. Okay. I mean, let's see how that works out for you, bud.
So what was it? You said it at 32 wins, and I went with the under. I'll go just under just to be nice. I'll go with 30. They're going to have 30 wins next year.
Okay. Ooh, all right.
All right. So it's my would you rather, right? So mine is going to kind of go.
Also, I just need to say this real quick. Just on the on the Hollywood Kevin Hayes train. You paid this guy $3.5 million.
Mm. That seems like a lot for this club.
Oh my God, that's a lot of money. Anyway, okay, sorry, moving on.
All right. So as you mentioned, 37, it looks like 37, 38, and 7 for 81 points. Maybe the math is wrong. But 81 points. They finished 6th in the NHL Central, Joe. Would you rather mirror that? Another abysmal 50-50, at best season, but you're still basement dwelling? Or would you rather stink up the joint? Not purposefully. You're getting waxed all season. Pretty simple.
I mean, truly, I think that's exactly what's going to happen, because truly, I think, well, how do we continue to do it? Arizona and Chicago both got better this offseason than St. Louis.
Yeah.
So truly, I think, I mean, oh wait, this is a would you rather. Yeah, I would rather just end up tanking. Like, again, at least you'll get better in the draft lottery, probably.
Hopefully.
And get a high draft pick, you know what I mean? At the very least, if you finish, like bottom 10 in the league, that's still a pretty high draft pick, Yeah. I mean, I would argue to say that picks 1 through 12 are the best players that are 98% going to make the NHL and, be at the very least a fourth liner. You know what I mean? So those are good draft picks. After that, it's, kind of iffy. But so, yeah, I mean, I would just rather, again, are you going to make a playoff push? Are you going to make a Stanley Cup run with this squad? No. Again, we talked about Kyrou being top tier. He is a top tier player. If he went anywhere else, he could easily slot in on the second line and help a team win on a cup run. You know what I mean? Like, if he was on Dallas, they would have that would have helped facing Vegas. If he was on Colorado, could have potentially knocked out Seattle in that first round. If he was on Seattle, that game 7 could have been interesting against, you know what I mean? Like, so
yeah,
he's a hell of a player. A healthy Vrana, Vrana was a huge catalyst in the Caps winning the Stanley Cup in 2018. He has the potential to do that. Buchnevich, good depth guy, like, you know what I mean? So they have pieces on the squad. Nick Leddy, that I already talked about, Justin Falk, Colton Parayko, all these guys are on the squad. I know I've been crapping on them. Like, they actually have solid dudes on this squad, but are you going to make a Stanley Cup run with this squad? No, not a chance.
No,
because it's just not there. I know that seems backwards to say that, to be like, oh, this is a great squad, but they're not going to win the Stanley Cup. But you get what I'm saying, right? Like, they just they don't have it right now. They don't have the goaltender, and I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things that need to change. Probably need a different coach and a new system. Truly,
they don't have the depth either.
They don't have the depth. Yeah, like you said with the scoring, like, they don't have the scoring, so they don't have a superstar. They don't have a guy that can lead them. There was a guy by the name of Ryan O'Reilly that led that squad. He wasn't putting up 30, 40 goals, but he was a leader, and they don't have that leader on the squad anymore. So they're not going to make a Stanley Cup run. So give me a tank. I'd rather tank and get a high draft pick, and let's start rebuilding, because what are we doing?
Yeah, agreed wholeheartedly.
Especially in the Central, dude. Like, as we've talked about kind of ad nauseum on this show, the West has kind of turned around to being a powerhouse as well. We've always talked about, and I've said this 100 times already, start taking a drink whenever I talk about the East and the West being powerhouses. But the East has kind of always been the favorite to win and the West has kind of been like 50-50 coin flip. But the West has really turned around to be like, dang, there's some really solid competition on the West. And now it's, like we say, 50-50. The East and the West are kind of split now. If you look at, split it down the middle of 16 in the West and 16 in the East, they can kind of match up and be like, okay, those are similar. Those are similar. It's kind of a coin flip of who's going to win, go to the Cup and win at this point, I think, in my opinion. So my point of this whole entire rant is St. Louis is on the bottom of that. So get out of here. That's what I took 10 minutes to say.
And just to echo and hammer your point home, they didn't get better. How are they finished 6th last year? They didn't get better. How are they going to climb up to even just get into the playoffs, let alone win in the playoffs? Just isn't going to happen. Sorry, Blues fans. Let's leave you behind, shall we? Some weather phenomenon.
The only other team in the Central that also didn't really get better is Winnipeg. That's it.
Yeah.
Everybody else got better.
Mm-hmm.
So
more on them next week.
Yeah, you're getting left in the dust. Anyway, moving on.
Boom. Because it's it's weather phenomenon time. The Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah. You know what? Good, mediocre at best Barn, as we talked about on the show a few weeks back. You can go check that out at BarnChirpers Pod, BarnChirpers Podcast. Obviously, if you're listening to us wherever you're listening or watching, go check out that past episode where I did my barn tour. Tampa Bay, Justin, as we know, in the last 5 years, they've won 2 cups and they've been to 3 Stanley Cup finals. What do you? Let me pose this. This isn't a question for the actual Tampa, but what do you consider a dynasty, Justin? Do you think 2 out of 3 is a dynasty, or 3 out of 5 is a dynasty winning?
Because it is tough, because I usually look at a decade, right? But I think with hockey in the Cup specifically, you have to look at kind of everything, right? You have to look at, nobody wants to play the Lightning in the playoffs. And sure, they lost to Toronto in the first round last season, but they played
so much hockey.
Right.
So much hockey.
And what was it? It was 3 years in the Cup in a row, right? And they went 2-1 in those 3 years. And before that, it was them getting better. Like they had the President Cup year where they lost to Columbus. It's just, I think it's safe to say that they're a dynasty. I mean, they're probably in the waning years of the dynasty, but they're not dead yet.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I think anytime you go back to back, you already are kind of in that conversation for a dynasty. Because back-to-back championships in any sport is difficult to do, especially in hockey.
Yeah.
Like, especially in hockey, especially the way that Tampa Bay did it with, I have to go back and research, but numerous of game sevens. Game sevens. They played so much hockey in those 3 years, which, could potentially have contributed to their loss in the first round. But anyway, point being, I consider, for me, 2 out of 3 is dynasty conversation, for sure. So they're back this year, potentially. They got to rest this summer, had a long rest. So maybe they're coming back hot. You pretty much still have your core guys. The depth guys rinse and repeat, kind of interchange every single season, but their their core guys stay the same. Vasilevsky, Stamkos, Hedman, Kucherov, Sergachev. Those 5 guys, bro, if you're playing the Tampa Bay Lightning in a game 7, you're probably putting your money on Tampa Bay with those core guys. So I'm taking the goalie question this time because I think it's important. Last year, as we know, Vasilevsky wasn't very Vasilevsky-like. 2022-23 playoffs, 6 games played, 2 wins, 4 losses, .875 save percentage. Woof. Not the Vasilevsky that we know. Last season, games played 60, games started 60 with a 34, 22, and 4 record, .915 save percentage. And why aren't they showing his goals against average? That's weird.
It's 2.65. I'm looking at it too.
Okay. For some reason, it's not showing up on NHL app. Anyway, okay. So this season, Justin, the question posed, does Vasilevsky go back to Vasilevsky of old, being previous, the first cup, where he had a .925 save percentage, 42 wins, 31 losses, 10 overtimes. Let's say he goes back to somewhere around there, right? So would you rather Andrei Vasilevsky goes back to his high performance output, where he's going to win you 40 games, he's going to have well over a 9 save percentage, but Tampa Bay gets ousted in the first round again?
Ooh.
Or would you rather the new guy ends up coming through and takes the net from Andrei Vasilevsky and you win the Stanley Cup?
All right. Who did they sign just as a...
Jonas Johansson.
Well, I don't even...
I think he came from Colorado.
No offense, Mr. Johansson.
I think he came from Colorado, I think.
All right. So Johansson comes in, he takes the net, and what do?
They win the cup.
They win the cup. You take the cup. Look, man, obviously you want Vazzy to get back to Vazzy of old, but if you think Vazzy's going to go, oh yeah, we won the cup, but I didn't play well. He doesn't strike me as that type of guy, man. Like, I mean, he's only 28, so it's not like it's over for him. You know, you take the cup. You take the cup, and that's all I got for that. You take the cup.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't really a great question, to be honest. That was not really a great question, but I understand that. So yeah, I go with the cup too. Though I would be, that might shake his confidence even more, though.
Yeah,
would be the problem. So I could see that side of it too. So maybe it's not a terrible question. It was a mediocre at best question. Take a drink, everybody. But to that point, like, even though you win the cup, but it was with the other guy, like, that might hurt Vasilevsky moving forward. You know what I mean? So, but you can't not take the cup. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. But it's not as bad a question, because some things that you're leaving out, like I sent you, he's the exception, not the rule. Almost a $10 million contract.
Yeah, and worth every single penny, honestly.
Right. So, like, again, the exception, not the rule. I mean, most goalies are not worth that kind of money.
Correct.
Vazzy, you roll the dice on that, but I mean, if he has to have a down year for us to get another cup again, and we ride the new guy, sorry, dude.
Yeah.
Hope you can get it back, because I want another cup.
Yeah. No, I think again, we've talked about that. You always want the cup.
Always want the cup. And so the Lightning are a team that I reluctantly respect, because it's another one of those clubs that exist that shouldn't. or at least in my opinion, shouldn't have, right? Because Tampa Bay, Florida, why are we playing hockey in Tampa Bay, Florida? But I've gotten over it. I'm over it at this point. So let's see, what do we do here? They went 46, 30, and 6 for 98 points. They finished third in the Atlantic. Joe, over or under 90 points for the Tampa Bay Lightning next year?
Well, see, I was thinking about this today. I'm delaying answering your question to roundabout it. I was thinking about this today and we'll talk about this next when we talk about Toronto. But what I think is absolutely hilarious about this situation right now is that Toronto is probably going to win the Atlantic, and Tampa Bay could potentially just barely sneak in with that second wild card, and Toronto and Tampa Bay will still have to play each other. But Toronto will win the division finally, but they'll still have to face Tampa Bay in the first round, which is hilarious to me. I'm literally crying a little bit right now.
It's like the Batman and Joker.
Yeah, because they always are number 2 and 3 switched up, and they face each other every single year. But this is the year where Boston's probably going to falter, as we talked about. Toronto's probably going to win the Atlantic, but Tampa Bay is just barely going to sneak in, and they'll still face each other. Okay, I'm crying. Okay. 90 points for Tampa Bay. Yeah, because they only had 93 last year. You said that, right? I think they had 93.
I'm seeing 98, but also 98? My TV is far away from me. So
you're right. Yep, you're right. 98. My bad. So 90 points. I don't think they're going to fall off that hard. But I do think they're going to fall off. So technically I'm going with the over on that. I'm going to say 95 points because I think they're going to sneak into that second wild card spot. They're going to not be third in the Atlantic. They're going to end up being second wild card because, they technically don't have a backup goaltender. Like, I know we just made that question about Jonas Johansson, but he hasn't really done anything. They got rid of Moose. Moose was their backup. Dang, I'm forgetting
Brian
his name.
Elliott.
What's that?
Brian Elliott.
What's that?
Brian
Elliott, yeah. He was their backup. Yeah. He was their backup, though. And, now they don't really have a backup. Brian Elliott is a solid goaltender that's going to win you some games. On their roster right now, they have Vasilevsky, this Hugo guy, Jonas Johansson, and Matt Tompkins. Who are these guys? So
yeah. God forbid something happens to Vazzy.
It might be tough. I think it's going to be tough. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Okay, so I'm going to go. I'm saying over, but not much. I'm going to say, what did I say? 95? Yeah, 95 points. Yep. Wild card right. Number 2.
All right.
What do you say?
I mean, it's hard to see them, like you said, it's hard to see them dipping too far. I think it will be a step back as well. I guess, are they the ones that they're another year older? I'm going to go with the over as well. I'm not going to be as generous as you, though. I'm going to go 92.
Okay. All right. Okay. One guy that has been generous with scoring the goals last season is Braden Point, Justin, of the Tampa Bay Lightning. He scored 51 goals last season, his most in his career. Yeah. 51 goals, 44 assists, 95 points, played all 82 games. So over under, Justin, 100 points for Braden Point this year. And before you answer that, I'll give you a couple of statistics, just point-wise. His previous seasons, I'll go backwards here. So like I said, 95, 58, 48, 64, 92. That's the President's Trophy year. 66 and 40.
All right. So over or under an even 100. I'm going to go over. Last season, Kucherov was best point getter at 113. He only needs 5 points to get there. I mean, it'll be hard to match the 51 goals, but you got to imagine, between Kucherov, Stammer, Hagel, I think, was it Killorn or was it Sorelli that left? Killorn left. Yeah. So, and then they still got Sergachev. Like, they still have guys, so he's probably going to get a couple more assists. I'm going to go with the over. I'm going to put him at. I'm going to go a full 10 over, 105 points for Braden Point next year.
Wow, that's very generous.
I know, I like it.
Yeah, I mean, he's a solid player. Like, I would have. He was racking up points in fantasy, obviously. He's a guy that you would want to get. I'm going to go with the under, though. I just think that was such a good season, obviously, but he didn't even miss any games. Like, he played all 82 and he got 95, which is a great season. Don't get me wrong. Like, truly, what's funny about that 95-point season for Braden Point is, to me, that lands him in a superstar level ranking. To me, like, that's a superstar to me, I think. I mean, hell, he scored more points than a guy that's going to make $13.25 million next year. So anyway, I'm going to go with the under, but not by much. I think he's just going to go 90. So 5-point drop off. But I just think that, I just think it's going to kind of be, he's going to take that big season and kind of turn that into his new normal, right?
Okay.
So on average, looking at those points, I can't math all that in my head, but it's somewhere around 80 average, right? So I think his new normal is going to be somewhere around like 83 to 92, right? Somewhere in that range. So I think he's going to take that awesome season last season, make that his new normal. But I'm going with the under 90.
All right. So I guess let's hammer that point home. I mentioned before, Kucherov is your top point getter at 113. Braden Point followed him at 95. Stammer had 84. And then this cat, Brandon Hagel, 64. He stayed with the club, right? 24-year-old.
Yep.
I thought so. 81 points, 30 goals, 34 assists. Now, I'm going to tack my would you rather onto your answer. So would you rather Braden Point does as you said, his new normal, and takes the minor step back into the 90-point range, or would you rather the kid Brandon Hagel, 24, just a couple years younger than him, last season, 81 games, 30 goals, 34 assists, 64 points? Would you rather him step up into that 80 to 92 range?
Damn. Well, I guess really it kind of, what's fun about the question is it truly doesn't even matter, because Tampa, like we talked about at the top of talking about Tampa Bay, it's kind of in this dynasty run has been the next guy up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just the next guy up, which is a great system to be in. Say what you want about John Cooper, but he's a hell of a coach with a hell of a system. Like, clearly it works. So I just for S's and G's, I'm going to say let's go with the kid Hagel stepping up, because like I just said, because you tacked on my answer with your question, so I'm going to tack on my answer to your question from my answer to say that if Hagel steps up, then all of a sudden that becomes his new normal. And then you now have 2 superstar caliber players on your squad, and or they're trading pieces, and or they're going to go to another squad and be a superstar.
Yeah, I think you like to see the kids step up, like to your point, next man up. Let's see that. So yeah, I'm with you.
Love to see a kid step up.
All right, so shall we move on to mediocre at best?
Oh,
I mean, we could probably do this one quick because
real quick.
I feel like we're both very down on the Toronto Maple Leafs and not having anything to do with the quality of hockey. Actually, it's more about the guys. So the Toronto Maple Leafs, Joe.
Yeah, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Okay, Justin. Last year, Austin Matthews, let's just call the elephant out here in the room, played 74 games, 40 goals, 45 assists, 85 points. Oh, and apparently his wrist hurt real bad all year. That's why I didn't do very well. And then in his 2022-2023 playoffs, 11 games played, 5 goals, 6 assists, 11 points. So, yeah, technically he was a point per game guy. But did those goals come when they actually mattered in the second round? No, they did not, Justin. The last 5 games he played, you know how many points he scored? 2. He scored 2 of those 11 points in that series with Florida when they bounced them. So, Justin, over, under, I'm going to go back to the regular season. Austin Matthews, I'm sorry. Let me calm down. I'm getting real hot. I'm going to take it down. I'm going to take it down a couple notches here. The season prior, Justin, Austin Matthews played 73 games. He had 60 goals, 46 assists, and 106 points. Very good. That's superstar level to me in my eyes. The season before that, it was short. 41, 25, 66. And I'm going to give you one more. The season before that, 70 games, 47 goals, 33 assists, 80 points. Okay? Actually, I'm sorry. Let me start over. Austin Matthews has scored these goals in the previous years: 40, 60, 41, 47, 37, 34, 40. Over under, Justin, Austin Matthews, 60 goals this season.
Boy, if you're Toronto, you sure hope it's the over. I'm definitely going under.
For $11.25 million this year and $13.25 million next year, I would hope so.
Yeah, but I'm going under, man. I don't. Clearly, he's at the 40 range. Like he had the 60 the one time. I think it's going to be over 40, but I don't think it's going to be 60. So I'm going to go under. I'll be nice. I'll go just under 58.
Well, I'm going to be a jerk and I'm going to say way under, and I'm going to say 39. Because he got his here's what I think. I think he got his money and he's set for the next 4 years. So he doesn't really have to do much this year. He won't start turning it on again until a season and a half, or excuse me, 2.5 seasons from now. He'll start really turning it on again because the contract year is coming up again. And he's not going to stay in Toronto after that. I'd be really shocked if he did, because if you look at it, when his contract was coming up, he scored that 47, 41, and 60, and then he just signed an extension. So to me, he got paid. He's going to start making a whole bunch more money in 2 seasons. He's not going to produce that much, I don't think. Please, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
For Toronto's sake, I hope I'm wrong. Show me a superstar. That's what I've been saying on the show forever.
Yeah.
Show me a superstar. And side note, put a pin in it. Somebody asked me via text, because they listened to the show, and they asked me, so you say mediocre at best a lot, take a drink. What is mediocre and what is superstar? When we get through next week with our last week of over, under, and would you rather, I will go through the list of what makes a superstar or mediocre to me. We'll cover that next week or the week after before the season starts, just so everybody knows. Anyway, yeah, what was I going with that? I get a little heated talking about Matthews.
No, you went with the under as well, and you went way under 39 goals. So yes. I'm gonna continue the line of questioning. So our guy, I mean, because this is a question, right? The guy just got paid. So would you rather Austin Matthews step up and he becomes that, we'll give him 100 points. So that's 15 over next year, right? So we'll give him even 100 points. Would you rather Austin Matthews hits that 100 points, or, and here's the stat line for Mitch Marner, 80 games, 30 goals, 69 assists, 99 points. Would you rather Mitch Marner be the guy who leads the club 100 plus points?
I'd rather Mitch Marner, because I truly think Mitch Marner is going to be I truly think Mitch Marner is going to be a Toronto Maple Leaf for his whole entire career. Whereas Matthews, he's not going to be a Maple Leaf after this contract. I fully believe that. So I'd rather have Marner be that guy and be that superstar level and earn that big paycheck that he's got coming.
Mm-hmm.
Because in my view, Matthews has scored 100 points once in his career.
Yeah.
And, kind of burying the lead, but that's going to have something to do with what I consider a superstar. If you're making that much money, you should be putting up 100 points every single year. And Matthews has only done it once. So I see Marner stepping up, and I would rather see that than Austin.
So just to take the constraint, because technically I agree. I've become I don't know if it's just proximity, but I'll tell you what it is.
I don't think you'll just keep being a dick about it.
No, I'll tell you what it is. It was him, boo-hooing and being sad after the playoffs last year, not because they lost, just, not stepping up, not taking responsibility. You're a leader on the club and you're not being one. So that's what it is. But I'm just to take the contrarian. We just paid this guy this money. I would rather Matthews be the thing, be the guy. So I don't technically think that, but just, to have that point out there from us, my answer will be, give me Matthews.
I get that. Okay, Justin. Right now, the Toronto Maple Leafs have the following goaltenders listed on their roster on NHL app. Okay, here we go. Dennis Hildeby.
Okay.
Matt Mustache Murray. Vyacheslav Pekska. Keith Pertreluzzi. I'm sorry. Ilya Samsonov, Joseph Wall, and Martin Jones. So, Justin, would you rather, really this is more so just like a 2-goalie question, but would you rather the Toronto Maple Leafs give Martin Jones the net? He has a regular Martin Jones season, which is going to get you on average 30 wins on average, and you make it to the third round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, so you win 2 rounds finally? Or would you rather Ilya Samsonov has the net, he has a Vezina candidate trophy season, but you're going to lose again in the second round? And mind you, they did just sign Ilya Samsonov.
Yep, just last season, right? Yeah.
Yep. Let me get you in the off season here for he went to arbitration. They signed him for $3.55 million for a 1-year deal. They have Martin Jones signed for $875,000 for a 1-year deal, and Joseph Wall has 2 more years as a restricted free agent for $756,000.
So my gut wants to go with the money, but also Sammy kind of gave me that same thing that Matthews gave me, that, not taking responsibility for play and not getting it done. So give me Martin Jones. I don't care what, I don't care about the money. Give me Martin Jones, and let's do what we can do with him, and maybe we can deal off Sammy. Somebody can, because it is a big contract, but it's not monstrous. Like, it's not. Yeah, but it's tradable. Give me Martin Jones, and let Wall be the backup, and let's get Sammy out of here.
I think that's a solid move, truly. I mean, Martin Jones is tried, true, and tested.
Yeah.
Like, give that dude the net. Like, he proved, like we talked about with the Kraken at the top of the show, he can lead a team, because he had that team for most of the season. So
yeah,
I would love to see that.
So that's what I'm going to go with. What are you going with?
Yeah, same. Give me Martin Jones. Sammy is a good goaltender. He is. I'm really not trying to crap on him really at all. Like, just in the playoffs, like you said, and I mentioned it on the show too. Like, oh, I got hurt. I can't play anymore. Grow up.
It's the playoffs, man.
You have the chance. Like, okay, I'm saying it as this. It's one thing if doctors don't clear you, but the way that it happened, I don't know, man. It just, again, I don't know. I'm not his body. Maybe it was pretty serious, but seemingly because he didn't have any off-season surgery or anything like that. Like, it wasn't, IR type level. Play through it. Are you trying to win a Stanley Cup? What are you doing? Like, do you want to step up and have people take you seriously, or you got to step up and be the guy, lead when nobody else is going to step up and lead the team. You lead the team to victory, or just be a whiny little crybaby like, oh, I got hurt. I don't know.
I'm going to go simple here with my over and under, Joe, because last year, the exception to the rule, they made it into the second round. Over or under first round exit for the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Well, I already said that they were going to win the Atlantic, and I do think that they're probably going to win the Atlantic. And then, like I said, Tampa Bay is going to eke into that last wild card, and they're still going to have to play Tampa Bay, and I'm crying again. It's so funny. I love it. Well, damn. You said over-under first-round exit, right?
Right.
Damn it, Justin. I want to push. Well, I'm not going to go with the over. Like, that's dumb. All right. Again, I think that they're going to win the Atlantic, but just for, like, the purpose of it, I'm going to say under on this and say that they miss entirely, because that would be hilarious to me.
That really would.
That would be absolutely hilarious to me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, they didn't get demonstrably better, right? I don't know that they necessarily got worse, but they definitely didn't get demonstrably better. And if they do, like we talked about, draw Tampa again, I don't see them beating Tampa again in the first round. I just don't see it. But
not a well-rested Tampa. No way.
No way. It really depends on the draw. And I think just for laughs, I'm going to do it too. I'm going under. I'm going to miss the playoffs entirely, because it would be awesome.
I would. Oh my God. Also, so by the way, the regular season starts in 1, 2, 3 weeks and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. So that's 26 days. The season, the official puck drop happens. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, Toronto is $13.2 million over the cap.
So they got to find some money somewhere.
So good luck. Obviously, they're going to do it because, like, they will, so you can actually play the season. But they have signed so many guys to massive contracts. Mm-hmm. Like, who are they? Anyway, good luck. Good luck to you. Good journey. Good journey. Are we done with this yet? Because
let's get the leaps out of here.
I'm really not. This is fun. I love doing this segment. Let's. I'm ready to score a goal. Let's pull the goalie.
Leafs be gone. Yeah, let's pull the goalie. Yeah. What do we got for the open net here?
So I think we'll kick us off. Your boy Tomas Tatar signs 1 year, $1.5 million with the Colorado Avalanche. How do you feel about that, Cap?
That is a sneaky good move. They get him, on the cheap for a player that is going to produce on that club. He's not going to be a top point getter, but that is such a depth signing. And then Miles Wood went there too. So they were line mates at times over the course of the season last year. So maybe they reunite a little bit over there in Colorado. That's a sneaky good signing for them. I really, really like that signing a lot.
Yeah, man. When I initially saw it, I was starting to think of when a team you lose some pieces, then you get some pieces and where does this guy fit into that piece that you lost? And I kind of threw that away. I'm like, okay, I don't really want to think about that. You don't necessarily have to think about, for instance, Colorado winning and they had, Nazem Kadri, right? So you get another piece that replaces Kadri's spot. I'm kind of throwing that to the wayside. More so signing Tatar, while not going to get you the same level of a Landeskog who's going to be out, but he's still going to give you a solid amount of points and goals, and he's a depth guy. So just in general, it's a great signing to help your club out just in general, like a guy that's going to score you goals. Because at the end of the day, the team with the most points at the end wins, Justin. I don't know if you knew that.
That's right. Yeah,
so that's right. It's a solid signing by Colorado.
Agreed.
Yeah, they've had a solid offseason, so I think it's a good signing there. The Vancouver Canucks name Quinn Hughes as the 15th captain in franchise history.
I didn't see that coming. Good for him. The Hughes boys are on top in the NHL, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. They really are. He's the first Hughes to get the C too, so that's kind of bragging rights, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of would have thought. What's that?
Unfortunately, neither of his brothers. Nico's our cap, so Jackie's not getting it. Luke's not getting it. So
and Nico and Jack are going to be there for a long time. So
yep.
I guess I kind of would have thought that either Elias Pettersson or JT Miller might have gotten the C, but looking at the contracts, those two guys probably won't be on the squad for very much longer. So I think it makes sense. Give the young kid the C. I'm here for it. So I think that's I think there is 6 other teams that don't have a captain right now. Kraken, Arizona, Chicago. I forget the other ones. Winnipeg just named Adam Lowry the captain too.
Yeah.
So they finally have a captain. So, the Blackhawks are going to retire Chris Chelios is number 7 on February 25th, 2024.
Hey, I would have guessed that would have already been, but wow. Okay.
I thought so too. What's funny is they'll be playing Detroit that night.
Wow.
So it's kind of he's our guy type of thing.
Yeah. Also, throwback. There was a time in the 90s, those two were at each other's throats.
Yeah.
Chicago and Detroit.
I'm here for it. And then I think one of the biggest new things to talk about is the first woman to ever play in the SHL in Sweden, Sara Grahn. She is a goaltender, 3-time Olympian, 11-time world champion. The SHL, I guess, is kind of the equivalent to the AHL, but just a little bit better. She was called up over 2 high prospect male goaltenders, just for, kind of a bit of information. Like, they picked her. So she's a pretty badass woman, gets called into the SHL to play for, I can't say the Swedish. I don't know the Swedish team name. It starts with an L. I don't know how to say it. Sorry. But that's pretty badass, I think.
Yeah. I'd like to see more of this, please. I'm geeked that there is a women's league coming, but if more women are on the ice with the men, then they can play with the men. And that is really how it should be.
Yeah. Well, I think just in general, obviously position players, that's going to be a little bit more difficult because obviously in the NHL and AHL, you can check, so that's not going to be, but if that's kind of dangerous territory to you know what I'm saying? Like a 200-pound man versus 115-pound, that's just not going to end well if they're checking, you know what I'm saying? But in this case, she was just overall, just in general, not man or woman, she was just better of the 3 options, and they picked her. And I think that is what is important. It didn't matter man or woman, she's just the best. Put her in.
Yeah.
So there we go. That's the biggest takeaway for me is it doesn't matter who it is, they're just better. Play them. And then the final thing that we want to talk about, so the PWHL we talked about a lot recently. They are having their draft coming up, and reportedly the league is going to be paying 50 prospects to travel to Toronto. So those that have to travel essentially farther are going to get $850 daily stipend to travel for meals, for lodging, to come to the draft. And then for those in the local area, Toronto, they'll be getting, I believe, I missed the part of it, but I believe it's somewhere between $150 and $300 daily stipend because they're already in the area, but same things to come to the draft. So I think this is a good thing for the PWHL in general, as we talked about before, spending money on this league. Putting money into this league, I think, is a huge thing. And just the general idea of hey, we want you to come to the draft and we want you to play in this league. So we're going to pay you to come. Yeah.
Wholeheartedly agree. Show that you want the players, and sometimes that means money, and most of the time that means money. So give them the money and get them there in person, so that that there's photo ops. There's if it's going to be televised, you're not just giving a sweater to nobody. It's just better visually for the league. And I also saw that it's going to be top college players, former PHF players, and just other women that are in the PWPA, whatever the women's union is. So I'm all for it, man. I think it's cool. I think again, whatever gets them more pub. So
I agree. And basically you said the same thing, but just put, names to faces.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's the biggest thing. Instead of just calling out a name, Sarah Nurse. Okay, who's that? You know what I mean? We know, but a casual fan maybe doesn't know. You know what I'm saying? So just putting a name to a face is huge too. And oh, they're on this squad, and to see that person hold up or put on the sweater of this new league, this new team, I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All righty. That's all of them, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's all of it. So next week we will finish up the Would You Rather and Over Under. It'll be the remaining teams being the Winnipeg Jets, the Vegas Golden Knights, the Vancouver Canucks, and my boys, the Washington Capitals. I can't wait for this conversation.
Can't wait for that one.
Feel free to chirp the crap out of me. I can take it. You can do that at BarnChirpers Pod. Subscribe to us across all platforms on the YouTube. Leave a comment, subscribe. Spotify 5-star and a review. That'd be great. iTunes, quick little 5-star and a review. We would love that. Thank you to all that. Give our shout out to our boys of the ECHL, Norfolk Admirals. And with that said, we'll see you all next week. Stick taps and sellies, boys. Clap it up.
Clap it up. And then hit end recording. Boom.